The mining station on Kepler 442b was supposed to be Marcus Chen's fresh start. After 5 years of corporate security work that had left him jaded and broke, the promise of decent pay and honest work extracting rare minerals from a frozen moon seemed like exactly what he needed. What he didn't need was to stumble across royalty bleeding out in an ice cavern while running a routine perimeter check. But life, Marcus had learned, rarely gave you what you needed. It gave you what you could handle, or what would break you trying. The distress signal came through on a frequency that wasn't supposed to exist. Marcus was 2 kilometers from the main station, checking radiation sensors in the southern quadrant, when his scanner picked up the irregular pulse. Protocol said to report it. Common sense said to ignore it and finish his shift. But something in the desperate rhythm of that signal made him change course. He found the crash site in a network of ice caves that the geological surveys had marked as unstable. A small craft, sleek, elegant, and completely alien in design, had carved a brutal path through 3 layers of ice before coming to rest in a cavern that glittered like the inside of a diamond. The hull was breached, and the air inside would be toxic with leaked coolant and combusted materials. Marcus approached carefully, his breath fogging in the -30 air despite his thermal suit. Through the largest breach, he could see movement, weak, uncoordinated, desperate. He climbed through and found her. She was sprawled across what remained of the pilot's seat, her body twisted wrong, one arm reaching for a control panel that sparked and sputtered with dying energy. But it wasn't her injuries that stopped Marcus cold. It was her appearance. Her skin was a deep, vibrant orange that seemed to glow with its own internal light, like embers in a dying fire. Her hair, impossibly, strikingly, was pure blonde, falling in waves around a face that was both utterly alien and heartbreakingly familiar in its expression of pain and fear. She wore some kind of ceremonial armor, ornate and clearly expensive, now cracked and stained with deep purple blood. Her eyes opened as he knelt beside her, brilliant amber irises that fixed on him with laser focus. She said something in a language that sounded like music played backwards, urgent and questioning. "I don't understand," Marcus said, raising his hands to show he meant no harm. "But I'm here to help, okay? Help." She studied him for a long moment, those amber eyes scanning his face like she was reading something written there. Then she nodded just once, and the tension in her shoulders eased fractionally. Marcus had basic emergency medical training, every station worker did. But as he assessed her injuries, he realized he was way out of his depth. Compound fracture in her left arm. Possible internal bleeding. Definitely hypothermia setting in, and that was just what he could see. "Okay," he muttered, more to himself than to her. "Okay, we're doing this." He stabilized her arm first, using materials from his emergency kit and pieces of the shattered console. She watched him work with an intensity that was unnerving, never making a sound even when he had to manipulate the broken bone. Her free hand gripped a piece of twisted metal so hard it bent under her fingers. "You're tougher than you look," Marcus said, trying to keep his voice calm and steady. "That's good, that's real good, because we've got a long walk ahead of us and I'm going to need you to stay with me." He wrapped her in his thermal blanket, knowing it would leave him dangerously exposed to the cold but unable to see any other option. Then he lifted her, surprised by how light she was despite being nearly his height, and began the long trek back to the station. She lost consciousness halfway there. Marcus talked to her the entire time, a rambling monologue about nothing and everything. He told her about Earth, about the ocean he'd grown up near, about his sister's terrible cooking and his mother's garden. He told her she was going to make it, that he wouldn't let her die in this frozen wasteland, that she just needed to hold on a little longer. The station's medical bay erupted into chaos when he stumbled through the doors. Dr. Sarah Okonkwo took one look at his cargo and started barking orders, and Marcus found himself pushed aside as a team of medics surrounded the alien woman. "Where did you find her?" Sarah demanded, her hands already working to assess vital signs. "Ice caves, southern quadrant, her ship crashed." "She's Veltharian," Sarah said, and there was something like awe in her voice. "Do you have any idea, Marcus, this is a Veltharian? They're one of the most advanced species in this sector. Their territory is 3 systems away. What is she doing here?" "Bleeding," Marcus said flatly. "Can you save her?" Sarah met his eyes, and something in his expression made her nod. "We'll do everything we can." It was 6 hours before Sarah emerged from surgery, looking exhausted but cautiously optimistic. "She's stable. The internal bleeding wasn't as bad as I feared, and Veltharian physiology is remarkably resilient. She should make a full recovery." Marcus felt tension he hadn't realized he was carrying drain from his shoulders. "Can I see her?" "She's sedated, but yes. Fair warning, though, Station Command has been trying to contact Veltharian space for the last 3 hours. If she's who I think she is, we're about to have some very important visitors." The alien woman. The Veltharian looked small in the medical bay's bed, surrounded by monitors and IV lines carrying fluids that Dr. Okonkwo had synthesized based on her blood chemistry. Her orange skin had lost some of its glow, but her breathing was steady, peaceful. Marcus pulled up a chair and sat down, not entirely sure why he felt compelled to stay. He'd done his job, saved a life. That should be the end of it, but something about her haunted him. The way she'd looked at him in that crashed ship, the trust she'd placed in a complete stranger, the quiet strength with which she'd endured pain that should have made her scream. Her eyes opened while he was sitting there, those amber irises finding him immediately. She said something, her voice rough from the breathing tube they'd had to use during surgery. "Hey," Marcus said softly. "Welcome back, you're safe, you're going to be okay." She lifted her hand, the one that wasn't splinted, and reached toward him. Marcus met her halfway, taking her hand gently. Her skin was warm now, not the ice-cold touch from the cave. She smiled. It was weak, barely there, but it was real. The delegation arrived 2 days later. Marcus was in the station's cafeteria, forcing down something that was allegedly breakfast when the alarms started blaring. Not emergency alarms, these were the ones reserved for important arrivals. Within minutes, every screen in the station was showing the same image. A massive Veltharian cruiser, easily 10 times the size of the mining station, holding position just outside weapons range. "All personnel report to your stations," the intercom crackled. "We have visitors." The Veltharian delegation that shuttled over was impressive and terrifying in equal measure. Warriors in elaborate armor flanked a central figure who moved with the kind of authority that made station personnel scramble to get out of his way. He was tall, his orange skin a deeper shade than the woman Marcus had saved. His blonde hair shot through with silver. He wore robes that probably cost more than the entire mining station. Station Commander Williams met them in the main docking bay, with Marcus standing awkwardly to one side because Williams had insisted he be present. The Veltharian leader spoke, his voice resonant and commanding. A small device on his chest translated his words into accented but clear English. I am Thuron Valkesh, High King of the Veltharian Dominion. I have come for my daughter. The words hit Marcus like a physical blow. Daughter, princess. He'd saved a princess. Your daughter is recovering well, Your Majesty, Williams said, his voice admirably steady. Our medical staff has provided excellent care. This is Marcus Chen, the man who found her and brought her to safety. Thuron's gaze swung to Marcus, those amber eyes, so like his daughter's, studying him with an intensity that made Marcus want to take a step back. You saved Princess Lyria. It wasn't a question, but Marcus nodded anyway. Yes, sir, Your Majesty, yes. Tell me what happened. So Marcus did, leaving out the part about how protocol said he should have reported the signal and waited for authorization. He talked about finding the crash, about pulling her from the wreckage, about the long walk back through the ice caves. He kept it simple, factual, professional. When he finished, Thuron was silent for a long moment. Then he said, "Take me to her." Princess Lyria was awake when they arrived at the medical bay, sitting up in bed and arguing with Dr. Okonkwo about something in rapid Veltharian that the translation device struggled to keep up with. The argument died the moment Thuron entered the room. "Father," she said, and there was relief and love and something like guilt in that single word. They spoke in their own language, a rapid exchange that seemed to cover everything from her health to her reasons for being on Kepler 442b in the first place. Marcus tried to make himself invisible in the corner, but Lyria kept glancing his way, and eventually Thuron noticed. The king turned to face Marcus fully. My daughter tells me you risked your life to save hers, that you gave her your own thermal protection, that you carried her through a blizzard when you could have left her to die. Anyone would have done the same, Marcus said, which was probably a lie but felt like the right thing to say. No, Thuron said firmly. They would not have, most would have reported the crash and waited for authorization. Many would have feared reprisal for aiding an alien. Some would have seen an opportunity for ransom or political gain. He paused. You saw a person in need and acted without hesitation. This is not common, Marcus Chen, not among your species or mine. Marcus didn't know what to say to that, so he said nothing. Thuron continued, in Veltharian culture, a life debt is sacred. You have saved the heir to our throne, the light of our kingdom, my only child. This debt cannot be repaid with simple gratitude or monetary compensation. I don't want payment, Marcus said quickly. I just wanted to help. I know, which is why what I am about to offer is not payment, it is recognition of your character. Thuron glanced at his daughter, who nodded encouragingly. I am offering you a position within the Veltharian Royal Guard. You would be assigned as my daughter's personal protector, a role of great honor and responsibility. You would live on Velthar Prime, trained in our ways, given access to technology and opportunities beyond anything your current life offers. Marcus felt the floor tilt beneath him. What? Alternatively, Thuron continued, if you prefer to remain here, I can arrange for your mining station to receive Veltharian support. Advanced equipment, favorable trade agreements, protection from the various threats that plague this sector. Your people would prosper. Father, Lyria said, her translated voice soft but firm. You're overwhelming him. Perhaps we should. There is a third option, Thuron said, and something in his tone made everyone in the room go still. Among my people, when someone saves a royal life with such selflessness, They earn the right to make a request of the throne. Any request within reason. If you choose, you may ask something of me, and if it is in my power to grant, I will do so. Marcus looked at Lyria, who was watching him with those luminous amber eyes. She looked stronger now, more like the princess she was supposed to be, and less like the broken woman he'd pulled from a crashed ship. But there was something in her expression, hope, maybe, or curiosity about what he would choose. I need time, Marcus said finally. It's a lot. Of course, Thuron said, though Marcus could see the king was not used to waiting for answers. You have until we depart in 3 days. Consider carefully, Marcus Chen. Such opportunities come rarely in a lifetime. Over the next 3 days, Marcus's life became a surreal blur of diplomatic meetings, medical check-ins, and quiet conversations with Princess Lyria. She was recovering quickly, already walking the corridors with just a slight limp, and she seemed determined to spend as much time as possible talking to the man who'd saved her life. You don't have to choose the guard, she said on the second day, as they sat in the observation deck watching Velthar Prime's cruiser glitter against the stars. I know my father can be intense. He means well, but he sometimes forgets that not everyone dreams of royal service. What do you think I should choose? Marcus asked. Lyria smiled, and it transformed her face from merely beautiful to absolutely radiant. I think you should choose what makes you happy. You gave me my life back, Marcus. The least I can do is support whatever you decide to do with yours. And if I chose to ask for something completely unexpected, then I would be very curious to hear what a man who wants nothing would ask for. Marcus thought about his life on the mining station, the long shifts, the recycled air, the knowledge that he would spend years here paying off debts and saving for a future that seemed perpetually out of reach. He thought about Earth, about the family he rarely saw because interstellar travel was expensive and his wages barely covered his expenses. And he thought about amber eyes in a crashed ship, about the weight of a princess in his arms, about the feeling of doing something that mattered. On the third day, he gave Thuron his answer. I want to accept the position in the Royal Guard, Marcus said, but with a condition. I want my family on Earth to be taken care of. Not with money, they're proud people, they wouldn't accept charity, but opportunities. My sister wants to study medicine. My mother's been trying to save her coastal home from rising seas. If you can help them, really help them, then I'll serve your daughter with everything I have. Thuron regarded him for a long moment, then smiled, the first genuine smile Marcus had seen from the stern king. You use your boon to help others. Yes, I see why my daughter speaks so highly of you. He extended his hand in the human custom. It will be done, Marcus Chen. And more, your family will always have a place of honor in Veltharian space should they choose to visit. Lyria was waiting outside the meeting room, and when Marcus emerged, she searched his face. So, looks like I'm moving to Velthar Prime, Marcus said, and was surprised to find he was smiling. Hope you don't mind having a human shadow. I think, Lyria said, linking her arm through his with a familiarity that would have scandalized the court but felt perfectly natural, that you're going to fit in just fine. 6 months later, Marcus stood on a balcony overlooking the crystal spires of Velthar Prime's capital city, wearing the armor of a royal guard and bearing scars from training that had pushed him to his absolute limits. Behind him, in the royal chambers, Princess Lyria was preparing for a diplomatic summit that would shape the future of 3-star systems. His sister had been accepted to the most prestigious medical academy in human space, with full Veltharian sponsorship. His mother's home had been saved, reinforced with technology that would protect it for generations. His family was safe, happy, thriving. And Marcus had found something he'd never expected in that frozen cave on a distant moon. He'd found purpose. He'd found friendship with an alien princess who treated him like an equal. He'd found a future that was bigger and stranger and better than anything he could have imagined. The mining station on Kepler 442b was someone else's fresh start now. This was his destiny. And it had all started with a choice to help someone who needed it, to see a person instead of an alien, to act when it would have been easier to walk away. He'd never regret that choice, not for a single second.